Welcome to the Interactive Brokers Master Race. This is your definitive guide to interactive brokers, short for IBKR, and in this video I'll be covering everything you need to know about them. What are the protection you have as a client? What are the features and functions that they offer? What platforms can you use to buy and sell your stocks? Their fee structures, their customer support, and some pro tips here and there from my 4 years of experience using their platform. So who is Interactive Brokers? Well, they are one of the first and top online brokerage firms that offers low-cost electronic trades to retail customers like you and I. And they have a 46 years old track record in the brokerage industry, founded in 1978 by Thomas Peterffy, and until this day he is still the chairman of board of directors for IBKR. And one little fun fact here, he is also known as the digital trading pioneer, as he was one of the first to introduce digital technology into the world of trading in the 1980s. And transparency wise, IBKR is publicly listed on the US NASDAQ stock exchange with a market cap of around $37 billion as of the recording of this video, which on average the stock gives a 10% annual return for the last 15 years, and that growth is somewhat on par with that of the US S&P 500 index, or similar to the likes of big companies like McDonald's or Starbucks. In terms of peer-to-peer comparison, IBKR is now easily one of the largest, if not the largest, electronic brokers outside of the US. And the reason why I say outside is because in the US, it's pretty much dominated by the big players like Charles Schwab, E-Trade, and Fidelity Investments. But outside of the US, they are pretty much far ahead from the rest of the pack. Maybe the larger ones worth mentioning are like Saxo Bank or Futu Holdings, which is the parent company of Momo, but that's about it. And even the subsidiary of Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade Singapore, already announced that they are no longer supporting non-accredited accounts, which basically means they are pulling out from supporting retail investors like you and I. And another thing that sets them apart is their client base, which is made up of around 70% retail and 30% institutional customers. And that's because IBKR started serving institutions first, while most of the bigger players serve retail investors from the get-go. And what that means is they are not as reliant on the mood swings of the stock market, because retail investors like us are mostly swayed by the market conditions, and we tend to be more reluctant to trade in a bear market, whereas institutional customers, on the other hand, are active traders, and they will trade almost every single day to profit from the ups and also the downs of the market. And needless to say, more B2B, business-to-business customers usually mean more stability, because it's relatively harder for them to switch to another broker. Unlike us, we can just withdraw and uninstall and install another app within a few minutes, and that's not the case for them. I mean, just take a look at their operating margin in dark blue compared to the competitors. It has always been the highest, even through the thick and thins of COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the US regional banking crisis in early 2023. And for further reassurance, you can take a look at their financial statements and quarterly performance yourself, and I'm sure there will be a lot for you to like, maybe except for their share price valuation. But that said, however good they are on paper, the ultimate thing that we want in an online broker is their safety. And for your context, IBKR is licensed and regulated in 10 different countries, including the US, UK, Canada, Hong Kong, Ireland, etc., with Singapore being the closest to my country here in Malaysia. And just in case you don't know this, when we register for an account with them, we cannot choose our IBKR entity because it's automatically assigned to us based on our residential address due to their regulatory and compliance. For example, Singaporeans are parked under IBKR Singapore, while British are parked under IBKR UK, while Malaysians like me and many other nationals are parked under IBKR US. But whichever country you are parked under, it won't have much effect on your trading and investing process in general. But I won't necessarily say it's 100% no difference, because to a certain extent, like European clients under IBKR Europe cannot trade US ETFs due to the PRIIP regulations set by the European Union, or Singaporeans under IBKR Singapore, which is regulated by MAS Singapore, will have their fund held in segregated accounts, which is separate from IBKR's operational funds. And if there's any issue, then Singaporeans will be protected under MAS purview instead. And as for the clients under IBKR LLC or IBKR US, they are all protected by the Securities Investor Protection Corporation (SIPC), for a maximum coverage of 500k with a sub-limit of 250,000. Think of it like an insurance for your brokerage account in case of IBKR bankruptcy, if it even happens. SIPC will then step in to return your cash, your stock and other securities, so that's an additional layer of security and peace of mind for you. And for those with over 250k in cash, they also offer the Insured Bank Deposit Sweep program, which allows eligible IBKR clients to obtain up to $2.5 million, which brings us to a total coverage of $2.75 million. And as if this is not enough, Lloyd of London extends the per account coverage by an additional $30 million. But do note that the sweep program does not come by default. You need to apply it in order to be insured. And although IBKR is not regulated in certain countries like here in Malaysia, in my opinion, there are regulations under Singapore, US, Hong Kong and many developed countries have pretty much told the story that this online broker should be safe enough to put your money into it. And obviously, I can't give you any guarantee, but for what it's worth, the least you can take away here is that I have over 50% of my net worth invested in my IBKR account. So to be one of the brokers with the highest rating, being safe alone is not enough. You've got to be powerful as well, and I think this is true for IBKR. You can invest and trade in 33 different countries, including the US, UK, Singapore, Hong Kong and so many more. And to give you some context, it means you can easily invest not only popular shares in the US like Apple, Tesla and Nvidia, etc., but you can also invest in companies outside the US. For example, Chinese tech giant Tencent and Xiaomi on Hong Kong Stock Exchange, or Unilever and HSBC on the London Stock Exchange in the UK. Or you can invest in Singapore REITs or their stocks like DBS, Singtel, etc., all within one single IBKR app. So yes, you can trade stocks in many different countries, but they have more than that to offer. Other than stocks, you can trade ETFs, options, futures, spot currencies, and crypto for US and selected countries. If that's not enough, you can also trade their bonds, metals, and mutual funds. If you are not a super niche investor or trader, I can say the features offered by IBKR will be more than what you will ever need in a lifetime. Easily. And before you ask, yes, Interactive Brokers allows you to trade US stocks and ETFs overnight, and that basically means you can trade the US market 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. And of course, off-market hours are usually much lower in terms of liquidity, but it's good to know that IBKR is on par in terms of its offering if you ever need this feature. And another underrated feature of Interactive Brokers is the access to island domicile ETFs in the London Stock Exchange, which is very useful for those of you from countries without a tax treaty with the US. If you are a Malaysian like me or Singaporean, there's a 30% charge of the dividend withholding tax, which means that every time the ETFs give out a dividend, the 30% is taken away from you instantly as tax payment to the US. But there's a way to get around the 30% tax and pay only 15% instead, and that is to invest in the island domicile ETFs instead. You can essentially buy the same S&P 500 index ETFs but at a lower tax rate. I have a full video comparing US and island domicile ETFs, so feel free to check it out. I'll put it over here. And other than being accessible to different markets, IBKR is also equally accessible to different sizes of wallet as well, as they allow fractional shares trading, which means you can buy a US stock or ETF at any quantity that you wish. Let's say you want to buy Nvidia stock. You open their app, type Nvidia and find out one share of Nvidia is traded at around $450. That, if converted to my home currency Malaysian ringgit, will cost me more than 2,000 ringgit per share, and that's like a whole month of minimum wage in Malaysia already. And for some of you out there with a larger investment capital, this may not be that big of a deal, but remember, this is only for one share of one stock. If you want to diversify with many other stocks, in addition to dollar cost averaging every month or so, the share price could hurt our investment strategy, because not all of us have that much of a disposable income lying around, right? So with this fractional shares feature, you can simply set how much you want to buy that particular month, say $50 of Nvidia shares, and you are pretty much good to go. And next, let's talk about fees. For some people, this could be the deal breaker for them. And to clarify, there are two types of IBKR commission structure here, IBKR Pro and IBKR Lite. But since IBKR Lite is only available for US residents, I will just focus on the IBKR Pro plan instead. So under the IBKR Pro stocks and ETFs, there are again two pricing plans under it that you can choose from, the tiered pricing and also the fixed pricing plan. To put it simply, under tiered pricing, you are basically paying according to how many shares you buy in a particular trade with a minimum of 35 cents per trade. Whereas for fixed pricing, it's fixed at a minimum of 0.5 cents per share with a minimum of $1 per trade. So to put it simply, if you are like me and you don't like to trade actively and only buy a few shares every other month, then very high chance tiered pricing is what you're looking for because of the minimum fees per order where you can get as low as 35 cents per order. And by default, your IBKR account will come in a fixed pricing plan, so do remember to switch it towards the tiered pricing plan instead to save that extra buck. It's really simple to do because you can just simply search for pricing plan in your account and just change it to the tiered one, and it should be done in one business day. But do note that there are also exchange fees, clearing fees and pass-through fees if you are choosing a tiered pricing plan, on top of regulatory fees that are standard across all other brokers. They are very minimal in nature, so you don't really have to stress too much about them. And to avoid confusion, it's necessary for me to clarify that the 35 cents per order price is only applicable for stocks and ETFs listed in the US. So if you are buying say UK stocks denominated in US dollar, the minimum commissions per order will be $1.70 instead. And the same goes to the other markets like Hong Kong, Singapore, etc. They all have their own pricing as well, so feel free to find out more in the link down below. And for those of you interested in margin financing, you would probably have come across the fact that IBKR offers the lowest margin loan rates in the industry, and none of the competitors come anywhere close to their rates. So on top of the fees that you pay while trading, you should also take note of your account's base currency. Basically, when you are converting your currency, be it Sing dollar or Japanese yen or Hong Kong dollar that you have deposited into your account to another currency of your choice, say US dollar, you will then be paying $2 equivalent in your base currency every single time you convert. So it doesn't really matter if you ask me. If your base currency is Great Britain pound instead, then you'll be paying somewhere around 1.7 pound instead. Personally, since I trade in the US stock market most of the time and I like to streamline everything to show in US dollar, I'll just maintain my base currency as US dollar, and you can do the same as well. It's just a flick of a button in the account settings. So in terms of how to deposit your money into Interactive Brokers, there are essentially two viable ways for most people. First is by bank wire, or also known as foreign telegraphic transfer, FTT, which means you directly transfer money from your local bank account into IBKR. The pros are, the process requires no setup and can be done with basically any bank in the world. But the cons are, if you are not from a country with a currency that is natively supported by IBKR, for example, the 20 plus currencies like US dollar, Sing dollar, Japanese yen, euro, etc., then you will need to bear with the higher FTT charges from your local bank. But fret not, because Interactive Brokers has thought this through. They now offer you the option to fund your account via Wise, a global payment service that lets you hold around 55 different currencies available in 80 different countries. Their international money transfer and currency exchange services are offered at super competitive rates. So in general, you don't need to worry so much about the exchange rate when doing your transactions. And besides, they offer a great interface, seamless transfer process, and it comes with a bonus Wise Visa prepaid card that you can use for your overseas transactions or travels as well. So I personally highly recommend it to anyone ranging from beginners to veteran investors. All you need to do is to open a US dollar balance in your Wise account, fund it with these currencies and then convert them to US dollar, and then you can just transfer it into Interactive Brokers. It's very simple to set up your Wise account, and I have a whole video guiding you how to do just that. So feel free to refer to this video anytime you are free. And just a shameless plug here, feel free to use my Wise referral link down below to get yourself a fee-free transfer at no additional cost to you whatsoever. Okay, in terms of trading platforms, Interactive Brokers is available on both mobile apps and desktop, and your account across all platforms are protected with 2FA authentication such as Face ID or Fingerprint ID, so that's an additional layer of security for you. So for their mobile app, you have three choices. One, the IBKR mobile app, which is built for everyone and is their go-to app by default. Or two, the IBKR Global Trader app that is made friendly for beginners and starters, and it's basically a stripped down and simplified version of the IBKR mobile app. It's more lean and might appeal to more starters. Otherwise, you can choose the third option, the IBKR Impact app, which is more or less like the second one, but we focus on ESG investing. If that's your cup of tea, you can identify the values, and based on your personal preference, Impact app will then show you how much your portfolio aligns with your ESG values. If you ask me, I just use the IBKR mobile app and it gets the job done for me. And of course, the same app is also available on iPad as well. And while mobile apps can settle the buying and selling of stocks, I would also highly recommend you their website client portal to get the most use out of your account. You can do stock screening, research information provided for fundamental analysis, fund your account, tweak certain settings, reach out to customer support, and so much more. And just a personal preference here, I always like transferring money on their website platform instead as compared to the mobile phone, because it feels safer and probably has less tendency to crash. Not that the app ever crashes, but it's just a me thing, you know. And also, IBKR has introduced a new tool called Deeper Insight that allows you to play around with the market buzz, where you can see how many times a stock is mentioned within a time period. And what's more, you can check out the news sentiment. You know, is it good news or is it bad news lately, or the trend analysis, etc. And another useful tool I personally like a lot is their Economic Insight, which is basically their version of an economic calendar. Not only can you adjust the importance of the events, you can also set the country filter to the US only, and from there you can see all upcoming or past economic events. For example, the ISM Services PMI September. You can click for a brief description of what this event is all about, or even take a look at their chart to gain a better understanding on the US macroeconomics. This feature is currently only available on their desktop client portal, so hopefully they will port it over to their app in the future. And on top of their client portal, IBKR also has a trading software called Traders Workstation, short for TWS, and that is built mainly for active or algorithmic traders. The platform offers real-time live quoting, latest news, and also market data. But since this software is meant for the experienced ones, any non-professionals can easily get overwhelmed by the excessive functions and features, so don't bother about it if you're just starting out with your investing journey. Anyways, speaking about features, all general features are already well equipped in all IBKR platforms like stop orders, trailing stops, price alerts, recurring order, etc. Basically, if you can think of it, Interactive Brokers has it. And with the help of these small but useful features, you are now able to plan your portfolio risk management in a more systematic way. And it's good for capturing gains while providing protection against sharp declines. Just imagine doing that manually. Not fun, right? And yes, before you ask, Interactive Brokers does offer an automatic recurring investment feature, which helps you to set a repeat buy order every single month or so, and that will help a lot with dollar cost averaging. So if you're interested in that, do check out this video in your free time. And next in line is customer support. It seems not important at all now until you need it, so bear with me. There are 4 ways to reach out when you need to contact Interactive Brokers. First is to get the live chat support on their website platform. I personally recommend this method. It's very fast and it's available 24/7, and they will usually connect you to a real person in charge within just a few minutes. And for all this time I have been dealing with them, the longest I've waited is around 10 minutes. Not too bad, right? And if the customer support cannot solve your problem instantly, or your problem is rather complicated, you can try raising a support ticket. Kind of work like an email. Normally the response times is slower as well, sometimes even a few working days. But if your questions are generic in nature, you can try their AI chatbot on its mobile app called iBot, but I personally find it not so intuitive. They are more like a filter that helps to look for certain features within the app itself, rather than solving any real issue. And for the fourth option here is to call them by phone. This works 24 hours and I've tried to call in to reset my password before, so yes, it definitely works. And last but not least, just a bonus feature to show you, Interactive Brokers offers you free customized account statements. Yes, most if not all brokers allow you to download your account statement, but Interactive Brokers takes it a step further by allowing you to create and also save your portfolio analyst reports based on your preferred criteria and parameters with zero charges. And why this is important is because it basically allows you to generate reports for tax filing or declarations, personal tracking, or just simply for your own portfolio strategy. And to do that, type portfolio analyst in the search bar. The website will then lead you to your portfolio dashboard, and at a glance you can check your net asset value, top and bottom performer, allocation by sector, asset class, country, and also financial instruments. And you can also go to the report section to extract more information by downloading their default report, or if you like, they give you 3 additional options: snapshot PDF, detailed PDF, and also detailed Excel, which you can choose the time period as you need as well. But wait, there's more. You can also click the plus button over here to create a custom report. Over here you have the freedom to choose time period, frequency, how detailed you want it to be, and performance measures. And what's more, you can actually select what kind of content you want to include in the report as well: ESG, allocation and performance by sector, historical performance, and also benchmark comparison, projected income, fees, or also feel free to select all of them if you wish. So in short, this is truly the master app when it comes to investing. The only thing I think they can improve is their app and desktop user interface. It could use a little bit more refinement and work faster. You know, sometimes the loading time can get a little bit long and it's not as intuitive as the younger stockbrokers out there. But then again, that's like nitpicking, because everything else is just textbook perfect. And for those of you who have been watching me for some time now, you know I've been using Interactive Brokers myself long before I was even sponsored by them. So if you would like to give it a try, please feel free to click the link down in the pinned comment down below to check them out, and you can totally see it for yourself whether you want to open an account with them. Because even if you don't have any intention to invest immediately, they also offer you free interest on your cash balances of up to 4.83% per annum as well. But do keep in mind this rate changes every now and then, so it might be different depending on when you watch this video. And if you have any questions and don't know where to ask, we actually have a huge community on Discord and also Telegram group, so I will also include the links down below for you to join for free. And in the meantime, if you are curious about getting started, check out my step-by-step guide on setting up an Interactive Brokers account for yourself. See you over there.